It's about planning. When the idea of sprawling the city into the farmlands of Honouliuli was first thought up, you could still find doctors in this country who said that smoking was good for your lungs. That's how old that idea is. Ideas change. We now know that suburban sprawl is a nightmare. Lots of people suffer from that nightmare every day on this island. To say that we have to approve Hoopili as it's currently construed because the project has been planned for decades is lazy thinking, it's poor planning, it's poor governance. Of course we need the housing, just not there. It should go on the 500 acres of barren fields that surround Kapolei Hale. And members of the zoning committee know what I'm talking about because they had a meeting there the other day. You step out of Kapolei Hale and you're surrounded by empty land. It's not farmland. You could and you should build there. Dense, high-rise housing, the sort of housing that the R. Horton has done such a good job of designing, so that it would create a true downtown for the so-called second city and give Kapolei a fighting chance to compete with Honolulu as a rival urban center. This project is touted as transit-oriented development. Some of it is, but 2,280 of the proposed units are single-family, suburban-style homes that are sprawling over 380 acres of farmland, all of them more than half a mile walk from the train stations. So those homeowners will automatically get in their cars to commute. That is not transit-oriented development.
Well, Chair and members, my name is Tom Berg, and I come from 96706. But we're all in this together, so it doesn't matter. Chair, I'd like to bring to your attention that I'm in opposition to this measure on the basis and grounds that it's a social injustice. I believe there may be people in this room who participated in the late 70s in a constitutional convention for this very state, of which it was to be the city and county of Honolulu, together with all counties in the state, shall map and identify their important agricultural land, because the people in the state of Hawaii felt an urgency in the 70s of such magnitude and crisis that everything here before you today to codify taking ag lands, the agenda today says it's ag lands. It doesn't take a ruling of the LUC. It says ag lands because you codify such. So if we take the state constitution and we take that the county shall map and identify and support ag lands, you cannot, in good faith, advance this measure until you have completed the exercise. The state constitution usurps your Oahu General Plan. The urban growth boundary, as you know, this council passed Resolution 11-23, Committee Draft 1, in the year 2012. Prior to such, what I'm getting at, is Councilwoman Kobayashi introduced a measure to follow up on that mandate of the Constitution to hire an agricultural liaison to map and identify. You shall. And it took 3 decades for the state to figure out who's going to pay for this exercise. So when we finally found out the county's got the money and they hire somebody, and it was Laura Thieland, she said, and I quote, "I can do this within a year." And that was in 2011. Point. Had this property of D.R. Horton's Hoopili purchased, because they knew when they bought the land from the estate of James Campbell, that the state constitution was in play. They knew at the time of the deed of contract of transfer to the Bureau of Land Conveyance that the state constitution will always trump them today. Because today, in good faith, if that ag liaison were to map and identify that property thereof, it would be classified as important agricultural lands and then inventoried for our governor to then put in his bank, where the governor says, in this bank over here, we're going to protect and preserve, and wanted to increase that inventory of land. So, Chair and members, if you connect the dots, this is not anti-development, anti-affordable housing, anti-anything. It's pro. Pro the people, follow through. Social justice is that if any attorney were to read the document of how we got to where we are today, you cannot advance this until you've mapped the land. And why? Because if it were mapped and identified, we'd get the results that Hart has provided numbers which are false. 5 experts graded this property for Hart, and the federal government says if it has a threshold, you can't develop on the land because the federal government protects ag land that we eat off of. The federal government says it's so important. So important. So all of a sudden, Hart said this land is not valuable. And if you folks here actually mapped it, you could prove Hart gave falsified numbers, and the other 4 numbers were quantified to be legitimate. So in good faith, everybody here, you can put on record, don't do it, vote no, do the right thing. The people from 1978 from that con are expecting you to follow through. Don't breach that trust. Social justice, follow through. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for one of our former colleagues, former council member Tom Berg? No questions? Why are you running away, Tom? Jeez, take it easy.
You know, the federal government...
I guess no questions. Hold on.